Oh boy, do I track the nuts here. Apparently, I'm a narcissist because I told some people to go through my clips because holy cow, this topic is so deep that I couldn't explain it in a single clip nor in a year. It's like this long progressive understanding of what the problem is here. And the more that victims come out, the more we know the entire story. And I was even bringing up serial killers because they're part of the story, actually, because they're rapists. you know, so they're like the extreme of it all. And there is some um, logic and reasoning with these guys. If you sit down with each part of what they're talking about and seeing where it went totally nuts. And that's a deeper topic. So I was wanting to touch on some of that, but I don't know where I get these people. They come in and they start on this thing of like randomly Gen X. It's like, yes, Gen X is a huge problem, and most of these perpetrators are going to be from Gen X. Their parents were baby boomers, and they were very abusive. And then the parents of them, which is like post-war, the silent generation, they're talking about those things, whatever, they have different names, whatever. They were into raping children because the laws changed. Oh, in that 1820, 1920. Yeah, some things there. So if you go into the past historical thing, they were raping kids. They were openly raping kids. And it starts popping up in cases, and they'll be in cases that are so famous that, everybody knew Jeffrey Dahmer, right? Maybe some of the younger kids don't, maybe they're just learning about these people, but they were really infamous serial killers at the time. And when they originally talked to the parents, they said no, they were totally fine. They seemed like a normal kid. And I'm like, yeah, well, your example of normal was not normal at the time, and they were psychotic. And a lot of kids did act in this way. Like there's some relatabilities in some of their earlier stuff. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to turn into a serial killer. No. But there were signs there that something's wrong. It doesn't mean that you're going to turn into a serial killer, but you can turn into some type of perpetrator, some type of something. And they were the early portions of things. And there was a little, I don't know if you say caveat, there was a thing to the story because they said that then they went into the military, and I was saying that the military is just a non-fixable thing. I mean, that's just because of the mindset of it. But in addition to that, what you should have noticed in these stories is that they'll go, we're going to take our horrible son or daughter, whoever, that's having major problems, and throw them into the military. And then those guys are raping each other in the military and raping others, right? So it's sort of this promotion to be more violent. And I'm going to send my effed up kid into the military, or, when they turn into a teen, like 18 or something, that'll straighten them out. And no, now you're hearing stories of, them raping people and doing these things, right? One of the early things of Jeffrey Dahmer, which was rather interesting, is that he was so neglected. And he said, he's like, I started doing some things because it was shocking people and I was getting attention. And if you look to people like Marilyn in their stories, or Alice, or even myself, I did some things just to be totally annoying and shocking. I didn't turn into a serial killer, but there's something there that's relatable with a lot of these people. On the level of that. And Marilyn did something to get attention. You needed attention. I don't know. You go into the childhood portion, so it is explainable. It's something to do with that area. That's why I said we need to focus right there. So I'm getting these jerks coming here that are obviously on the spectrum to the far end where you should be aware of, to where they come here and they want to start calling me those things. And it's like, I hardly see where that would even equate to me telling somebody that they should go listen to the clips. I know they're long, but it's not a topic that you could learn overnight. It's something you have to kind of sit with and really try to grasp like where this is coming from, but it is coming from a place and it is preventable. Now, this story here I just did a thing on, and they just did a little update on it, and it still doesn't make the story any better or any more logical. This pair in Provo, we're gonna call it Provo, Utah, because every story, like, okay, so since I started looking at Provo, since it came up in the other case, the Google likes to pull up all the stories from Utah because it thinks I want to see all the stories from Utah. So, which is fine, you know. And I've been pulling up these crazy ones with therapists raping, you know, the clients and, you know, all these things. And I'm like, well, what the hell's going on over there, you know? And this story is interesting because it it's hard to comprehend where this is going because they deemed it safer to engage in sexual activity with the daughter versus strangers. Now, I don't know if they have any learning disabilities or if this is coming straight from their family line of them raping their children in the family line. It could be that. I'm just trying to figure where they got this from because that's not a normal thought. And they came to this together, okay? So it says they were taken into custody on Thursday, and then, okay, so the guy was in his 30s. He'd been raping her for more than a year, and she's 15. So I don't know if it started when she was 14 or what the hell, but it said that yeah, since she was 14. So on here it says that she's 15 and she was engaging in sexual activity since she was 14, which that shouldn't be going on. And the couple allegedly admitted to these accusations when asked by police. So they kind of openly admitted it. So People's not naming the couple in order to protect the alleged victim's identity. Now, if the victim wants to come forward, they should allow them. Because there's another case that they're battling in another country over there in Queensland that has this other thing going on where they're protecting the perpetrators, and it's under this umbrella like, you know, we need to protect the perpetrators. So if the victim wants to come out and speak, I believe that they should have the right to do it. Now, I don't know, in this case, they may not want to, but I'm telling you right now, this is actually way more common than is being presented to us. And as I was looking at my own family stuff, I go, oh yeah, there's a couple things in here that you can actually consider sexual abuse, like from my grandma, right? So it's not an act that you would normally probably put under it. But what she was doing was an abuse that would be considered a sexual abuse. Spanking is also considered a sexual abuse. Doing certain things is a sexual abuse. We don't care about your mindset. And in fact, so I don't get totally off the topic, but on that damn Oxygen again, that damn channel, the one guy was actually talking about, he's like, well, you know, hugs can be sexual or not. We need to know if they got sexual gratification from it. No, we don't. We don't need to know what's going on in your brain, but the action itself onto another is what matters. So they have this all wrong. We don't care if you're getting sexually gratified or not. The action is doing something sexually abusive to somebody else. So we don't care if you're turned on or not by doing it, the action itself. So I want to make that clear because they've had it backwards the whole time and they've been allowing men to do this, and all they have to say is, no, I wasn't turned on by doing it. And even though you got sexually abused, no way. So here, according to the affidavit, the couple learned about a year ago that the teenager was interacting with strangers online, which is scary because she's a minor. So you should be concerned about who are these other strangers talking to my daughter, right? And had the intention to meet them for sexual activities. Well, they're not looking at it like the guys are being predators on my daughter because she's 14. Now, I don't know if she's presenting herself as an older adult or not. But regardless, if she's sending any photos or anything like that, then child porn's being transferred online. So they were talking about some weird things. So they go, according to the affidavit, the parents learned that the teen had chatted and shared photos of herself in sexual situations with strangers on Snapchat. Well, we should be concerned who she's sending it to and who asked for them. I'm assuming that the other strangers are asking for them, and she's like, oh, okay, this. And the parents are not having this conversation with her as well, to not fall prey, not fall into these sociopath behaviors online. because I get them all day and I'm an adult, so trust they come here all the time. There's people I've been fans of that are big time sociopaths, and so we're not above not getting suckered into this crap. So the couple allegedly decided that teaching the victim about sex, okay, when we're talking about educating kids about sex, we're not saying do it with them, but apparently this couple has decided we're going to do it with the kid. And I can't get past this. I don't understand how it went there. And engaging in sexual acts with the victim would be safer for her than having sex with strangers. It's like taking an average IQ person where we're like, we need to teach them about safe sex, the whole thing about that and consent and everything else, to where these people are like, we're just going to do it with them because it's safer with us. How is it safer with you? And this should not even be going on because they're a minor. So the child's getting raped, and then you let her get preyed on by some people online. So that's the addition with this. It's so freaking whack. And then it says the man allegedly told investigators that the couple bought sex toys for the teenager. I would not want my parents buying me sex toys. No. No. If your parents did that, that's creepy as hell. That is weird. Okay, and admitted to taking showers with her per arrest documents. Okay. And we had a shower thing actually growing up, me and my brother, because they used to bathe us together, right? There was a time when we were really little that they bathed us together. And then they're like, at some point, they're like, yeah, we need to start separating them. Like they were doing this thing. And me and my brother didn't even get it. No concept, like no concept whatsoever. And this is how that other stuff can start happening. And I don't even know why they started anyway to begin with, because to us, it was normal. Like, we're just like, we're kids. What's the problem? And, and yeah, and then that turned kind of weird. My brother was being a weirdo. And then, I don't know, there was a whole thing. And then they had to separate us. And then nothing bad happened in it, but they didn't explain like why it's a bad thing. Like, that's number one. But then two, why did you do it to begin with? And then it would just become a neglect thing, right? Where they're just continually taking showers together, right? And they might start doing other stuff with each other. And then you'll see this other stuff, right? That's from a more of a neglect and some other crap going on. I don't know if you guys had this happen to you, but mostly with families with, girls and boys and, doing this crap. But yeah, I mean, that was really little. But here you have adults going, yeah, take a shower with us, teen. This would be a no-no, and I'm grossed out. And the woman allegedly told authorities she confronted her husband about having full intercourse with the teen. She confronted her husband? So is it a thing where she didn't know that her husband was doing that? Or she did know and then told him to do it? Like, I don't know. It's crazy stuff. Okay, so they're both being held in jail, and then that's it. I mean, it sounds like, in my opinion, it sounds like it was the stepfather's idea. And because it's so common for these step parents to come in and start abusing other people's kids. I mean, that happened with both my parents, new lovers and stuff. They came in to abuse me, and on both sides. And it's crazy. And they get into this thing where they will hurt your kids. And the mom, what's crazy to me is the mom's going along with it. Like she's some type of passive, I don't know, where is she stupid? Like, I don't know. Like where she's like, this sounds like a good idea. And I don't know, just something's off with the story. Like we need to know more in the background to come to this conclusion here. Like, it's way out there. Anyway, this is Provo, Utah, and there may be more parents like this. I do believe it's a very common thing for the parents to be sexually abusing their kids, regardless of their blood parent or not. Because all the stories we're pulling up has it in there in some which way, shape, or form, or allowing like a neglectful situation to happen to where another adult preys on their kids. Yeah. It seems to be in all the stories, so. Yeah, all of Gen X. Gen X is a piece of crap, dude. There's nothing good I have to say about Gen X. Terrible. Every time I go back, I was like, yeah, it's horrible. And then the way they're like not even in therapy yet. Like Gen X is barely talking about stuff. I go, they were horrible monsters. And they've been bullying me the whole time. And I'm sitting there going, I'm telling you, the whole class was atrocious. And they're just now coming to it in little portions and they're still thinking it's normal. And I go, no, man. And I know what I did. I know there were certain things that I did that was not totally cool as a kid. I mean, but I'm talking about the entire picture of things. And yeah, you would have to go listen to my clips. Yes, indeed. I'm on YouTube for a reason. You know what I mean? We're educating. You cannot sit there and just jump into the middle of a clip and try to get what I'm talking about, because it's like me talking about, it is me talking about myself, but it's me talking about myself to dissect it versus, you should be, I'm not sitting there going, oh, I'm the greatest person on earth. You should be like me because I'm perfect. There's nothing like that here. It's me talking about, oh, these abuses happened and then we did this thing. And I was trying to dissect like where it came from. And then you could start to understand some of these really bad ones that come out later, because there's like things that were not in my story that's in theirs. And then you could start seeing like what's different. And that's what I was looking at for a long time. For a long time ago, it's so weird how we can come from childhood abuse and all this, but there's this group of them that comes out like that. And I'm just looking at it going, yeah, it's preventable, but what is it that you need to prevent from happening? Because, everybody has a different background, yet it's a lot alike. It's this thing about it. So you have to go through it, dude. Nothing about being a narcissist here. It's about learning that thing, but I'm not going to take it from any actual narcissist that post here that doesn't have any clips on their site except for something that's not theirs, to get views, coming here to start some trouble. So we just remove that conversation because I'm not going to allow that kind of group of people here. I'm way too old for that. I mean, we're not little 20-year-olds that, enjoy like fighting with little boys online. And ones that are like 50 plus that act like they're two. No, we're not into that. So we're here to talk about the truth of this all. They're all rapists. That's why we're trying to explain, is that they were all rapists. Mostly when you're talking to law enforcement or something, saying that it has to be sexual in their brain. No, it doesn't. If you go grab my crotch and you're saying that you're not turned on, it wasn't sexual for you, it's not a sexual assault. Okay. For you sticking your tongue in my ear as a kid is not a sexual assault because you weren't turned on. You're fucking around with that type of that thing right there. So, yes, and hugging, yes, that was always a predator move, to rub their you-know-what on us the whole time and to get close. There's no reason under the sun for adult men to be hugging me as a kid and trying to rub up on me. And nor as an adult either, where they were continually trying to grind up on me at my job. I mean, how disgusting is that? So, yes, and they know what they're doing and they want to be able to do it. And that's why they're sitting there trying to make a protection about it, going, oh, it's not this. I'm like, I don't see why. And if I don't want to be hugged, I have the right to say no. And to go against that is a rapist. If you understand what rape is about, it has nothing to do with sex. It's them saying, I don't care about your agency and I'm going to do it anyway. And they don't want to sit there and admit to that because there's a lot of things in America that is against your will. And they want to keep being rapists and they don't want to change. They want to keep being rapists. That's it. And they want to try to defend it to the end. That's what male supremacy is about. And in this case, it does again sound like it's the man and getting the woman to be all part of it. I mean, no man's going to get me to be a part of sexually abusing my kids. That's disgusting. But the mindset here, like, I don't know, what are they Mormon? Can you give us a thing here? Like, what? There has to be some dialogue going on here to make this like seem reasonable to somebody. Because it's hurting my brain. It's not your typical, like, I'm a stepfather and I'm going to just go in and purposely go and molest my kids. It's like they actually have some reasoning here why they did it. And then they tell the cops it. They're like, oh, yeah, we just thought it was totally safer to rape our minor, So it's child rape. They're into pedophilia. They're into all these things. And then if there's photos, then it's child porn. And they didn't protect their daughter online. That's another thing. I was like, well, obviously you didn't explain to your daughter that these guys are predators and they're going to ask you for naked pictures and do stuff and try to meet you. So then you'd want to see who's contacting the daughter, right? No, instead they're like, let's sexually abuse her more in the home and then throw incest in there. It's like, what? It hurts my brain. Like, this isn't an average IQ person. This hurts my brain. So, I don't know, Provo. I don't know what's in your water. I don't know if you're like secluded from the universe, what the deal is there in Provo, Utah. I don't. Like, because the stories coming out of there are so insane. And I'm like, what is this? It's like the hellhole of the earth. Do you guys, I mean, the fact that they have a Snapchat is like, okay, well, they do have some things with the outside universe. So I don't know what is going on here.